Here we are at our target 4b from our Chapter 5 study guide. We're asked to write the exponential function that passes through these 2 points. Now, for an exponential function, we know that it's going to follow that form y equals a times the base b raised to the x power. That is, again, an exponential function. This is that form. And we know, again, it passes through this point 3, 8, and 5, 2. Now, just a little side note, we're going to assume that a is greater than 0 and also b is greater than 0. And we'll talk a little bit more about why as it kind of pulls up, but just kind of add that little side note along with it. Now, again, since we have an exponential function that follows this form, looking at our 2 points, we know that they are also some x, y coordinate points. So we can go ahead and slap some x, y's right above them. Next, what we want to go ahead and do is substitute in our points into our exponential function. So when we do that, we end up with not y, but 8 equals some a, which we don't know, and some b, which we don't know, but raised to, for the blue one, the x value, which now is 3. Likewise, we'll do the exact same thing pretty much for our green one. Our y value is 2 equals our a and b, which we don't know, but that's raised to our x value, so in this case, 5. Now, there's a variety of ways that we can kind of continue on from here, but really kind of the idea here is to solve for a variable using the substitution method. And the reason why is because we do have 2 equations with 2 unknowns. So we've kind of fallen back to substitution method, elimination method. In this one, it looks more appropriate to use the substitution method. Now, again though, we're trying to solve for our a value. Typically, looking at our exponents for b, you kind of want to look at which one's smaller. So in this case, this guy's smaller, and then kind of solve for a in this one. You can work with this one. There's actually a variety of ways that you can proceed with this problem. This is just going to be the quickest and easiest way that kind of works in many, many different types of problems too. So just solving for a, because b cubed is stuck and glued to a, they're being multiplied, we'd have to get it unstuck by dividing both sides by that b cubed. We're going to divide both sides again by that b cubed. Now when we do that on the right side, b cubed cancels out with this b cubed on the bottom, leaving us with just our a value equals, on the left side we have our 8 over b cubed still. Next, what we want to go ahead and do is look at our green one. We see that we have 2 equals a times b raised to the 5th, but just to get things in terms of one variable, we're going to again use that substitution method and substitute in our a value from the other equation into our green one. Because when we do that, we would end up then with 2 equals no longer a, we'll have this 8 over b cubed. And again, really the idea behind the substitution method is to get things expressed in one variable, as we can see that we have now. Now, a lot of times I'll have students where they'll want to say, well, we have 8 over b cubed times b to the 5th. They'll kind of distribute the b to the 5th to the top as well as the bottom. But if we look at our b to the 5th a little more carefully, b to the 5th is the same thing as saying b to the 5th over 1. And now that might help us in kind of looking at how we multiply this, because just the top number, 8, is being multiplied by our b to the 5th, giving us 8 b to the 5th on top, over this b cubed is actually being multiplied by this 1 on the bottom, leaving us then with just b cubed on the bottom. Next, we're going to want to go ahead and simplify our right side up a little bit. So again, we have our 8 still up there, you can't cancel with anything, but we have b to the 5th divided by b cubed. Again, that's that base divided by another base. Ultimately, we're going to be subtracting those exponents. Looking at which exponent is bigger, it looks like the one on top is bigger. So again, we're going to subtract the smaller one from the bigger one, giving us then 8b squared. Now, as we're trying to solve for b here, we have that 8 stuck and glued to b, and our goal here is to isolate the variable. So what we'll need to do is divide both sides by that number, that coefficient 8. On the right side, they just end up canceling out, leaving us with our b squared equals 2 divided by 8 gives us 1/4. Next, what we want to go ahead and do is take the square root of both sides. And when we do that, our square root cancels off with our squared, leaving us with just our b value equals the square root of 1/4. And we know from our properties with radicals that we can go ahead and tear this apart and break it up. So we end up with the square root of 1 over the square root of 4. So our b value then comes out to be square root of 1 on top is just 1, and square root of 4 on the bottom is just 2. So right there, we have identified what our b value is. And from that, things get much, much easier. Now you can look at the blue function, we can look at the green one. It really doesn't matter. I think what we'll go ahead and do is just, you could even actually use this orange one. I think what we'll go ahead and do is just use the blue one, the original blue one. So looking at that, we have 8 equals our a, which we don't yet know, times our b. Well, our b we have found out to be 1/2. And this is raised to the 3rd power. So then 8 is equal to our a value times, really this is being 1 cubed and 2 cubed. So we end up with 8 equals a times 1 cubed is 1, 2 cubed on the bottom is 8. And to get rid of this fraction of an eighth, we would have to multiply both sides by 8. So then on the right side, we're left with just a, because the eighth of 8 cancel out. And on the left side, we end up with 64. So a would have to be 64. Now the final answer to this would be y equals, just dumping in our a and our b, 64 times 1/2 raised to the x power. And this would be our function that would satisfy going through those 2 points. Now I have left a little bit of an Easter egg, and I will give you a small hint. It does have to do with this assumption that we made at the very, very beginning. But I'll leave you to find out and kind of have that challenge problem of, is there something more really going on? But again, though, that is target 4B from our Chapter 5 study guide.